What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. My channel is slowly growing, and I would greatly appreciate all the support from you guys. So, in my new series I started last week, or the other day, we called it, you gonna learn, let's learn something. Gosh.
All right. You're gonna learn today.
But today we're gonna learn why the Pacific Ocean is vastly bigger than you think. Once again, we're on the Real Life Lore channel. Go over to their channel, like and subscribe to their videos. A lot of good content, a lot of good information on stuff that you want to, these random information and stuff that you didn't never thought about. They have good videos on that. But today we're going to learn why the Pacific Ocean is very big. Now, I know it's big, I know it's deep. And I know they say that we know more about space than we do about the bottom of the ocean and everything. So we'll see what more information they're going to give us on this. So today we're going to learn the Pacific Ocean, bigger than you think. Here we go.
As no surprise to you that most of the Earth's surface is covered by water. This is a simple fact that we've all learned about since our
That's
earliest
all I want to
memories
do,
of
get
school.
scuba diving.
You probably will still be surprised by the absolute sheer scale of the biggest part of our ocean, the Pacific. To say that the Pacific Ocean is huge would be an equally huge...
I mean, look at that. There's not a piece of land in sight right there. That is crazy. And you're up high. Like, you can't even see. I know the Earth curves and everything. The Earth is not flat, by the way. Yeah, but you can't see. There's no land. Like, there's no land.
Your statement. The Pacific Ocean is colossal. So let's begin by talking about this fact. Imagine that you're on a boat at approximately these coordinates. You're in the Pacific Ocean just slightly off the coast of Chile and Peru in South America.
Chile?
Then imagine you got in a submarine submerged all the way to the bottom of the ocean.
Look at that. There is nothing out here. Nothing out here. And it goes all the way around that until you get to like Japan and Indonesia and all that stuff right here. That's crazy, man.
And then drilled all the way through the Earth out to the other side of the world
going
and
through it.
came up on the other side. After doing all of that, you would still find yourself inside of the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, damn.
Specifically, the Gulf of Tonkin, just off the coast of Vietnam and China. The Pacific Ocean
crazy.
is so massive that it contains several of its own antipodes, or spots on the
Anna.
opposite side of the world that remain in the same ocean. But we're just getting started here. There are parts of the Pacific Ocean that stretch across more than half of the planet's surface, but the longest continuous stretch of water spans between the islands of Indonesia and the coast of Colombia. This stretch is nearly 19,800 kilometers long.
How many miles is that?
This is such a huge distance, you could fit the entire diameter of the moon between.
So you tell me the moon isn't as big as the Pacific Ocean and not even like nowhere close.
Actually, you could fit 5 moons in this distance.
5 moons?
Still have room left over. Zooming out to
Holy
this view of
shit.
the Pacific from above on Google Maps can give you this image.
Okay, now the size comparison, like in my the visual, that is insane. I mean 5 moons? That's insane.
Which gives the perception that it takes up almost half of the planet. However, this image is deceiving because in reality, you can never really see half of the planet at the same time. Since the Earth is shaped like a sphere, there's a point where the planet begins curving out from your field of view that's called the horizon. And no matter how far away you get from Earth, you're always going to be dealing with a horizon that blocks viewing a full half of the planet. In reality, the Pacific Ocean takes up approximately 1/3 of the planet's surface, which is still a highly significant amount. Significant enough to produce a map like this one. Here, you can see 2 separate ways to divide the world's surface between 2 equal hemispheres. Most of us are probably more familiar with the eastern and western hemispheric view of the world, but this view isn't really based on anything other than the British, who decided that they were the center of the world back in the 19th century. In this new division, the world is divided between the water hemisphere and the land hemisphere, the 2 sides of the world that contain the most water and the most land. The Pacific takes up most of the water hemisphere, and in total, this entire half of the planet is 89% water, 5% polar ice cap, and only 6% dry land. If you were stranded in the oceans on this side of the world, it might indeed be a while until you ever discovered land. Now,
Yeah, I mean,
with all of that being said, in purely numerical form, the Pacific Ocean is 165.25 million square kilometers in surface
Jesus
area,
Christ.
and that's a challenging number to visualize. So think about it this way. The surface area of every single continent of land in the world combined, from North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, Antarctica, and even throwing in Greenland just for good
Can
measure,
fit inside
is
there?
only 148 million
What?
square kilometers. This means that you could fit every single continent in the world.
Oh yeah, it was a
together
Pangea
inside
back
just
in the day,
Pacific,
right?
and still have millions of square
Yeah,
kilometers
think about
left
Pangea.
over. Let's think about this another way. Imagine the planet Mars. Measure out every single square
I mean, Mars
kilometer
fits in
across
there
the
too.
entire Martian surface, every valley and canyon and crater. Now, let's pour the Pacific Ocean over Mars. Eventually, you'll completely submerge all of Mars's 145 million square kilometers of surface area. In fact, the Pacific Ocean is a whopping 20 million square kilometers larger than the surface area of Mars. And we've only started talking about the surface area of the Pacific, not yet its depth.
How deep,
Indeed,
yeah.
The Pacific isn't just huge across, it's also
I mean, volume of
huge
water is
below.
there.
It's the deepest of any of Earth's oceans. The Challenger Deep in the Marianas Trench is the deepest point in the world that we're aware of so far, plunging nearly 11 kilometers beneath the waves. And other
8
trenches
miles?
have points that reach very similar depths. The Tonga Trench, Philippine Trench, and the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench all have spots over 10.3 kilometers deep. And the
I mean, they're
mean
not
depth
that-
across the entire Pacific is over
that less deep.
4,000 meters. The average depth in the Pacific is over 2,600 times deeper than the deep end of an average American swimming pool. With all
Damn.
of that size and all that depth, the Pacific alone contains 710.
And that's pretty deep because I've been to the bottom, well, almost to the bottom of when I was in boot camp to the Marine Corps pool. I almost touched the bottom of that pool, not on purpose. That's another story for another day, but
million cubic kilometers worth of water, which is roughly 50% of all the world's oceanic water. All of this puts into perspective how ridiculously bold the ancient Polynesian explorers really were. They sailed
yeah, think about it. These fools, I let them talk some more
out
now.
into an unknown
gotta say.
and uncharted ocean bigger than all of the world's continents combined, bigger even than an entire planet, just in the hopes of discovering some new.
Yeah, think about that. These guys back in the day, all they had was the stars, right? They basically traveled the whole Pacific till they found land. Like you said, basically you traveled across 5 moons and a whole planet, basically a whole planet size, not knowing where the hell you were going or if you ever find anything. That is crazy. The balls on these dudes.
Islands, and discover they did. The Pacific is home to over 25,000 distinct islands spread out across almost incomprehensible distances. But already by the year 1200, the Polynesians had reached virtually all of them from their original starting point back in Taiwan. Some of these islands continue to be absurdly remote and difficult to get to even today, let alone 1,000 years ago. The Pacific Ocean is so vast and so empty that it contains many of the most remote and difficult to get to places in the world. Take Honolulu in Hawaii, for example. This is the most remote city with a population over 100,000 people anywhere in the world, because the nearest other city of comparable or greater size is San Francisco, over 3,800 kilometers away, about the same distance as New York City is away from Los Angeles. The Polynesians still found it over 700 years ago. Easter Island is arguably the most remote inhabited island in the world, because it's over 2,000 kilometers away from the nearest other piece of land, and that piece of land happens to be Pitcairn Island, which itself is an absurdly remote, hard to get to island in the middle of nowhere. Besides
Can you imagine being like stranded out there, like your boat sinks and then you're on a raft and like there's nothing out there. Like, there's no, I'm gonna swim back to shore or all this stuff. You basically just whatever the current's going, that's where you're going. That's insane. Like, I mean, I knew it was big, but like you said, bigger than I thought it was.
Cairn, Easter Island is over 2,600 kilometers away from the nearest town with over 500 people on the island of Mangareva.
So where's the Galapagos at?
3,500 kilometers away from the nearest other continent, South America.
Oh,
It's also home
okay, I
to
see
the
the
world's
Galapagos.
most
A little
remote
bit higher.
airport, since the nearest other airport is over in the Gambier Islands, 2,600 kilometers away, and the nearest major airport is in Santiago, over 3,700 kilometers away.
Damn.
Comparatively, not even the airport at the South Pole is as remote as the one on Easter
What?
Island, since the nearest other airport to there is just over 1,300 kilometers away. Still, the
Damn.
Polynesians may have discovered it over 1,200 years ago in canoes. The Polynesians were master discoverers and explorers who honed their
Oh, yeah.
skills over generations of navigators.
OG
It takes
of,
time
like,
and patience to
discoverers.
learn how to discover the islands across a planet-sized
Damn it,
ocean.
Christopher
There
Columbus,
was
man.
only
These-
one
these
way
boys
to
did it better.
start. Just get in the boat and begin the journey. The beginning
Yeah, so yeah, like he said in in the title of his video, it's vastly bigger than I thought, man. 5 moons, that right there, that boggled my mind. And then the surface of Mars could be covered by it. and shout out to the OG explorers, man, the Polynesians, man. Like I said, they did that basically with just going, not knowing what was out there, and basically, like he said, going across the whole planet, really, you know. But yeah, if you learned something like I did today, hit the like button, subscribe button. If you got any recommendations of things that we could learn together or learn today, let me know down in the comments below. Until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.